A ministry moment with Dr. Alex L. Jenkins. See ya. Every day I'm waking with a purpose in my soul. God is leading every step I'm walking in His flow. Through the highs and the lows, I'm standing on His word. Faith is my foundation, I believe what I heard. I won't stop, I won't break. Every move is by faith. This is more than a moment. It's the life that I take. This is a ministry moment. Woo! Where faith meets your life. Where purpose is calling. Hey. And truth gives you sight. We're moving with power. We're walking in light. If you go with God, you'll be right. He'll be right by your side. Hey. He'll be right by your side. Clarity and vision, yeah, we moving with intent. Forward thinkers rising, every message heaven sent. No fear, no doubt, we're stepping in His grace. Every word is life when you call on His name. We won't stop, we won't break. Every move is by faith. This is more than a moment. It's the life that we take. This is a ministry moment. Where faith meets your life. Where purpose is calling. And truth gives you sight. We're moving with power. We're walking in light. If you go with God, He'll be right by your side. He'll be right by your side. We're moving with confidence. Walking in His promises. A ministry moment with Dr. Alex L. Jenkins. And remember, if you go with God, God will go with you.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak into your life today. I'm Apostle Dr. Alex L. Jenkins Sr., and this is a ministry moment. And listen, today is a very special day. Today, I'm not just a host. Today, I'm sitting across from my son, and I want you to meet him. He's a recording artist, a minister of the gospel, a church musician, a husband, a father of champions, and he's my son, Alex L. Jenkins II. Many of you know him by Minister A2DaJ, and I want you to know I call him AJ, and he calls me Pops. And I'm so excited about the opportunity that we had to sit down together and talk and discuss about his abilities and what God is doing in his life. Join me as we interview Minister Alex Jenkins.
Yeah, it feels pretty good, to sit in, in this podcast studio with my pops. Usually I'm like interviewing people, but now I get to be interviewed by my own dad. And I just want to let you know I'm proud of you.
Let me just take it to an early start.
When I was young, I don't think I thought, I'd be where I'm at now, or sitting across from you doing the podcast. But it's a blessing to be here, and I think life is going good right now.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up as a PK kid, a preacher kid, pastor kid, it was, some people say it could be kind of tough, but I thought it was pretty good. It taught me how to be, a great man, taught me great communication. I was always like that neighborhood kid that, everybody knew my dad was the pastor in the neighborhood. But, it just taught me that, like, still to this day, I'm that guy that everybody still call and you know, respect just because, you know, my father was the neighborhood pastor and everything. And, you know, I think it actually really helped me in life.
I lost some friends to that dope and pride. Lost some peace when my grandma died.
I think it do bring a lot of pressure, like just growing up in a household where, you know, your father is the pastor of the ministry and everybody know that. So, you know, every time you get in trouble in life or, you know, you just do some things you shouldn't did, people always gonna judge you, people always gonna look down on you. So, you know, you try to live a straight life. You know, but, you know, sometimes you just got to learn that, you know, what God has for you, you know, it's going to be for you, you know. I remember I probably had to be like in the first grade, and I remember we was at like aftercare, and one day I heard this guy, he was playing the piano in aftercare, like in the little conference room we used to go to, and he was playing like this Tupac song. You know, some of you guys might know about it. It was I Ain't Mad At You by Tupac. You know, it used to come in like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, you know, I heard the guy playing, and, you know, I asked him, I said, hey man, can you show me how to play that tune? And the guy showed me how to play that, and then after that it just took like music just started hitting me, you know. And I remember one time my cousin came over to the house, and you know, I was asking him, hey, can you show me how to play this tune? And he showed me, and you know, ever since then I just kind of like took off with music. I think one of the great things that you taught me was like being respectful and, you know, being humble in situations, but also not letting people take advantage of you. And I think that's one thing that, you know, now that, you know, you need it in life. You need to know that you can be humble, you can be a great person, you can help people, but you also have to be strong enough to say no, you know. And I think you actually put that in me and Shay, our sister, and my brother Alan also. Yeah, it's two different sides from it. Like A2DaJ is the artist side of me, and you know, that's pretty much you know me in the studio, me rapping, me making beats. You know, that's the side that I got from growing up in the hood. You know, everybody know what the hood is. But you know, Alex synthesizer Jenkins, you know, I got that name because when I used to go out and I used to play the synthesizer, everybody used to be like, man, I never heard a synthesizer like sound like that. So, you know, ever since then I started like calling myself that. You know, so when people reach out, they reach out to me under Alex synthesizer Jenkins. The album is titled Just in Time. And I believe this whole album, you know, God was with me when I prepared this album. You know, one night, you know, I was actually going through some things, and you know, it was one of the hardest times of my life. And even my wife kept telling me, AJ, you need to get in the studio, you need to go drop another album. And it actually started with a single first. You know, I heard my grandma one night sing a song called Just in Time. So, you know, I reached out to a good friend of mine. He's a big time producer, and I said, listen, man, I got this song that I wrote and I want you to hear it. So, you know, I started singing the song, He Might Not Come When You Want Him, but He'll Be Just in Time. And it touched his heart. Well, he was like, man, you got to come get in the studio. So, you know, when I went to the studio, you know, everybody know Rob Wave. He's a big time rapper, you know, in the hip hop industry. So when I got to the studio, his producer and his audio engineer was like in the studio. And you know, they was like, listen bro, we got you on this song. And I had D1, you know, everybody know David Grant Jr. He's one of the biggest keyboard players and producers in the gospel, hip hop, pop, you know, classical. You know, he got Grammys, he got, you know, all that. And God blessed it was I could have all these guys be on one of the top songs on the album.
That's amazing.
I think the song that means the most to me personally, and you guys can check it out, is called Pray For Me. And basically in this song, you know, I just talk about how you know, I was going through so much and times got so hard that I couldn't pray for myself, but I had people, you know, in the background, my grandma, my mom, my father, you know, my church, like just people I met over the years just praying for me. And, you know, I came in and I say somebody prayed for me, you know, had me on their mind, took the time to pray for me. And, you know, even though I had the song Just in Time, and I had all the, one of the biggest producers in the world, one of the biggest audio engineers in the world, like record the track. The track that I did, Pray Some More, in my own home, that's the biggest track on the album. It feeds into a lot because I am in the gospel industry, and you know, growing up in the church, seeing things in the ministry, it helps you relate to the people that you're making music for. And you know, I just love being in that atmosphere, you know, feeling that the spirit, you know. I'm just sometimes, you know, I just feel something come over me. It's kind of like, I know this gonna sound funny, but if another anointed musician might feel me on this, but it's kind of like when you're in the fourth quarter in the basketball game, and the coach put the ball in your hand, you know, he trusts you to make the right play. You know, it's the same thing like you're on the instrument. You know, God, He's trusting you in this moment when somebody is like, you know, they're praising Him, like, you know, they're getting deliverance. You just gotta kind of be locked in, you know, and you know, God will give you that anointing.
Where do you want this album to go? What do you believe God wants to do with this particular music that you have?
Yeah, I think when I made the album, you know, I kind of wrote it for what I was going through. So everybody who listened to the album, I had thousands of messages of people that said, yo, even when I made the album, I thought, okay, this Just in Time song, this is gonna be the one. But it's just every song on the album, Victory, Almost Lost It all these songs, I just had different people telling me, hey man, I almost lost it all. And then when I heard this song, man, you really touched me, man. It brought me out. I was able to save my family. You know, I was able to get off drugs. I was able to go to rehab. It was just so many people that, you know, touched my heart. Because when I made the album, man, even after I was still going through, but to see that I can help somebody, you know, it just, you know why you do what you do. I think it's funny because somebody asked me the same question a couple of weeks ago, and I told them, like, when the calling came, I think it was through music. You know, just being able to feel God through my hands, and as I played, even when I couldn't play, I used to hit those keys, and I used to see people like just like, you know, feel something, and you know, I just kind of felt like, man, I think, you know, God, He had to bless me with be able to play. You know, I whatever I hear, it don't matter what song it is, what genre, you know, I can just completely learn how to play it in like, you know, 5 minutes. And I was like, this is a God-given talent, you know. So after, you know, noticing that, I just kind of felt like, okay, I got a call on my life. You know, God gave me this, so I need to give it back. You know? You know, I just feel that, you know, like Jesus, he came and He helped people. You know, that was like one of the, you know, main things He did. So in my ministry personally, like, it's not like how some people ministries is. Mine is more on the tech side. It's more on the, you know, just like some churches. You'll be surprised how many people and churches and media teams don't know what equipment to use, you know, don't know what keyboards to buy, you know, and then like when I started Tips for Worship, just like a ministry, it came when I went to a church and I told the pastor, I said, hey man, you need to get rid of that mixing board. That thing was built in 1980. You know, and I thought he was gonna be one of those guys like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so he told me, like, hey, what do I need? And you know, I told him we went to Guitar Center. He bought it right then, and you know, like the next Sunday, the church was like they was loving it. The tech team, they was loving it. So, you know, ever since then, I'm like, wow, I just actually like helped somebody in a different way. It wasn't like praying for them. You know, it wasn't like giving them money. You know, it wasn't prophesying to them. It was something that, you know, the church needed to, you know, keep ministry going. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, sometimes, like, even with that question, it's kind of tough. But you know, being a musician and then switching over, you know, to the pulpit and preaching, you know, as long as you got God with you and you prepare and you let, you know. One thing I learned is, like, whatever I'm going in at that moment, you know, that's what I speak on. Because I sometimes feel like God will put you through certain situations, you know, to help somebody else. But, you know, I just feel like I got to, not trying to be cocky, but I kind of feel like I got a natural gift, you know, to kind of do walk in, where I can walk in all areas. I'm gonna always talk about faith. You know, because I think faith is what's gonna get, you know, is gonna get you through.
Absolutely.
Even with the podcast, like you know, you coming out here and you starting it out. You gotta have faith to kind of jump out there. And you know, get it going. You know, sometimes you might start here on your, you know, it's your first episode, and then next thing you know, you're sitting in front of one of the preachers you always been listening to for 20 years. Like, how did I get here? But if you don't have no faith to, you know, to start your business, you know, to go get that equipment. Like some people, you know, like they'll say, hey, I want to start a podcast or I want to start a ministry. But then they don't want to. They don't have the faith to go. Let me go burn this credit card and let me get this stuff, you know, and then take that extra leap. So that's kind of like when I'm preaching, or if I'm, you know, if I'm teaching somebody about God, I always start with faith. Like, have faith that God is going to bring you out. Have faith that God is going to elevate your business. Have faith that, you know, God is going to elevate you on your job. You know, so that because without faith, you know, what you say about works is dead.
Works is dead. Dead already.
I think it's tough sometimes for man to be alone. You know, so when I met my wife Patricia, she's from Europe, Bulgaria, and I just felt like, you know, God put it in my life, you know, and you know, we was hanging out one night, and you know, I think what really, I was always liking her, but I think what really touched me about her, you know, I got ready to eat, and she's like, you ain't gonna pray over that, you know, and then, you know, I'm like, wow, I was really liking that, you know, she didn't know I was from a background, you know, with God, and you know, after that, me and her, we kind of like hit it off, and I think she really made me the man I am today. You know, just having her in my life, and you know, her having my kids, giving me my sons. You know, she's into education, so she deal with a lot of high school students, and you know, I sit there and I watch on her laptop, and it's like she's different from a regular tutor, where they're as soon as they get on the computer, they just start talking about education. But her, I hear her talking about family. You know, young ladies telling her, well, my boyfriend broke up with me. So she's like over there ministering, well, you gotta let go. And you know, that's the same way she treat me and stuff. You know, she's just a good person. I think I raised my son, like, you know, everybody know I'm a young father. Even at the private school that they go to now, every time we go to like a family event, you know, all the fathers there, they're like 30 years older than me. So like, you know, they look at me, bro, how old are you? You know, you got these 3 sons. And you know, by me being a young father, I think I'm doing a great job with them. Even today, my youngest son, Justin, had a basketball beach workout where they all went to the beach and they started to work out. So one of the fathers, we was all waiting, you know, on Justin to come out. And I was telling, this coach came to me and he was like, man, you know, I saw your sons, Alice and Jeremiah, the other day. And he was like, man, Alice is so, you know, I see that he's been talking about Sports Center and this and that. He said, but, you know, my son barely could play basketball. And they was over there cheering him on, like, man, come on, you got it, bro, you so good. Like with the younger generation. And he was like, man, that touched me so much to see that, you know, some kids who, got so much talent will look down on my son who
Right.
barely know how to play
Right.
and motivate him. And he say, man, I just want to let you know, man, that you're raising your sons
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And they're good young men.
Wow, man, that's
that,
powerful.
that touch. I just see that they pretty much live life no fear. And I think that in today's time, like whatever you're doing, whatever sport, whatever company, whatever you're doing, you got to be out there with no fear. You can't be scared to be let down, And I think even with Alex, I kind of put that in him, not to have no fear. And last weekend, he went to the first session of the EYBL where all the top guys in the country at.
Right.
And in the fourth quarter, it was him versus another guy, the best player in the country.
Right.
And Alex showed that he should be number 2 in the country.
Amen.
And I think that's just a testament of what happens at home. Just all the training, all the life lessons.
Absolutely.
You go on the court and you're able to maintain yourself. And then, he have all these agents coming to him, Sports Center, and he just, he's able to talk. He's able to be a man when his father's not there. I think that's a testament to his parents too.
It definitely.
It feels good. It feels good. And like I was telling my father the other day, I was like, hey, Pops, we're gonna have to kind of reschedule this and that because. I mean, these past, months been like crazy,
Absolutely.
like it's like, say you start something, like say you start your podcast, right? And you have this one show that just blow up, and then the next thing you know, you got I don't know, State Farm calling you. You got you think it's a scam, like who this is again? So it's just that, but it's not like Friday. I had about maybe 9 phone calls for him from all these different high schools. And then and then everybody say the same thing. Hey, don't go to that school, this and that. So, it's just, I think God kind of prepared us for it. But, for him, I think he's very happy because this is what he wants. When he was young, he told us, he was like, Dad, this is what I want. I try to make it my goal to try to give him what he wants. Like even Mom, when I can't step in, she's stepping in. I try to pour into them that you definitely gotta keep God in your life. You definitely gotta just respect your parents. That's number 1 and 2, and then number 3, like most important, you gotta respect yourself. Everywhere you go, you gotta know that. Listen, you got parents, you got grandparents, so you gotta walk wherever building you walk into. You gotta walk there like your parents behind you. You just gotta walk on a straight arrow or whatever. And I think they do. I think they do that pretty well. I just want to inspire some fathers out there who, things might have been hard for you. You might have started to the bottom, but I just want to let you know that, it's never too late. I was one of the guys who messed up at a young age. I got kicked out of school at the age of 16. And it wasn't over. I thought it was over, but it wasn't over. I was able to get back in school. I was able to go get my bachelor's degree. I was able to start my own company. I was able to raise a family and beat statistics and be in my kids' life and make sure they grow up and be good kids. And you can do the same thing. Like I talked about earlier, you just gotta have faith and walk that journey and never give up. And you can make it.
Alex, I'm so proud of you, not just for what you have accomplished, but for who you are becoming. I've watched God put his hands on your life, and I've never doubted for one moment that he is not finished with you yet. Fam, this has been one of the most special moments I've ever had on a ministry moment. Not because of the cameras, not because of the studio, because I got to sit across from my son and tell the world who he is. Now let us close this the right way as we leave this place on tonight, but never the presence of God. Father, I thank you for this opportunity to talk to my son, the one that you, oh God, allowed me to raise and to care for, God, as he have become a man of God, a minister of music, a father, a husband, and yet a wonderful individual in you. And I pray, Lord, that you will continue to bless him and his family and the work that you have called them to do. For I know that the work will be great, but he will be even greater, because greater is he that's in him than he that is in the world. And we give you the praise in Jesus' name. All right, fam, that's it. Thank you. And I appreciate you, but I got to get out of here. Remember now, as I always tell you, I'll tell you again today, if you go with God, God will go with you. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next time. You be blessed in Jesus' name.
With Dr. Alex L. Jenkins. See ya. Every day I'm waking with a purpose in my soul. God is leading every step I'm walking in his flow. Through the highs and the lows, I'm standing on his word. Faith is my foundation, I believe what I heard. I won't stop, I won't break. Every move is by faith. This is more than a moment. It's the life that I take. This is a ministry moment. Woo! Where faith meets your life. Where purpose is calling. Hey. And truth gives you sight. We're moving with power. We're walking in light. If you go with God, you'll be right. He'll be right by your side. Hey. He'll be right by your side. Clarity and vision, yeah, we moving with intent. Forward thinkers rising, every message heaven sent. No fear, no doubt, we're stepping in his grace. Every word is life when you call on his name. We won't stop, we won't break. Every move is by faith. This is more than a moment. It's the life that we take. This is a ministry moment. Where faith meets your life. Where purpose is calling. And truth gives you sight. We're moving with power. We're walking in light. If you go with God, he'll be right by your side. He'll be right by your side. We're moving with confidence. Walking in his promises. A ministry moment with Dr. Alex L. Jenkins.